Right, 17 May 2025. And today I'm very excited to be giving you our evening updates. So the evening updates are what we call the clarity updates, so that you understand what is important and what is going on, what is going to happen next, and what is topical before you go to sleep, so that when you wake up tomorrow, you understand why something happened or something didn't happen. So today I want to start with obviously expressing my sadness on the death of Senzei Mngove. He is one of the most popular people in Zimbabwe right now, trending because he passed away in a car accident that happened on Bordeaux Road. So he passed away today. He had a head-on collision with the GT6, and the police are blaming him for the accident. So the police spokesperson has tonight issued a statement blaming him for the accident and saying he caused the head-on collision. So that is crazy and unbelievable, but it has just happened. Senzei Mngove head-on collision and being blamed by the police for the accident. Crazy stuff happening in Zimbabwe. I'm going to be having a special guest tonight. So let me quickly run through the stories. Auxilia Mnangagwa has been humiliated in France, where she went for a cookout competition and no one came to the Zimbabwe stand. It was shocking. Only the Zimbabwean people and the person that came with her went there, and people could not understand why people didn't want to come to that stand of Zimbabweans. But this is what happened. Eventually, people just entertained with these musicians. However, it is unbelievable that a first lady would go to a cookout competition in France, but this is what happened. So let's see what happens when she comes back. A very silly thing altogether. I cannot believe that a first lady went into a cookout competition. A cookout competition happens every weekend here in South Africa, where people just cook. But Auxilia, in her own wisdom or lack of it, decided to go over there. And I also saw someone, Anonzi Sekai Nzenza, I think she was over there. This was so sad to watch Auxilia Mnangagwa embarrassing herself here. And she is a first lady. There was no other senior person from any government who appeared here. So it was crazy. And even the mayor or the deputy mayor of this city was like, we have never seen such a thing, that a vice president or a first lady of a country will come to attend a cookout competition in France. Imagine the logistics of moving thousands and thousands of people. Probably she went for shopping here. And you remember Mdarageza saying that she is going all over the country playing Pada. I cannot believe how much money was spent for her to go to this cookout. And it's so sad. I could see her testing some food from other stands. She should have just come to South Africa here. It is actually better for her than to go over to France. So can you believe that she went to France for a cookout competition? She's going to be humiliated on her way back. Certainly, there's no question about it. And it's sad. Then obviously, one of my favorite people right now, Yuna Guti, they have just had a graduation ceremony over at Zayoga University. And I also saw Joseph Guti over here. Zayoga is starting to reclaim their position as a church of God after they declined that car from Chigananda, Wikino Chivayo. So very, very well done for Zayoga. Yuna Guti doing very well, not wanting her church and the church of her husband to be corrupted by evil people, corrupt people. So she's doing very, very well. Then in a sad development, there has been a massive fire which has destroyed Mbare Msika again. So there is another fire that is just taking place, and a massive fire has destroyed Mbare Msika today, and 40 stores have been destroyed. People have lost everything. And it is estimated that over $150,000 worth of stuff has been destroyed at Mbare today. So these are the stories that we have. Amazing stuff. And what I want to do, I want to quickly bring my guest in. As you can see, my network is quite erratic, but let's make it happen. I'm going to bring in my guest, Senator Kalipani Pugeni. How are you doing, and where have you been?
I'm doing okay. I'm struggling with lighting, as you can see. Setting up in this country is a real struggle, my friend.
No, it's fine. You can keep it that way. I'm actually worse than you.
Okay.
Because my network is erratic. Let's quickly go through the discussion. Yesterday, you watched the top war veteran, Blessed Geza, speaking.
Yeah.
We did not go into a lot about what he said. He was talking about General Chiwenga and asking him to intervene in the current situation in Zimbabwe. What's your take on it?
Yeah, of course, good evening to you, and hello to our listeners wherever they may be in the world. Look, I did take a listen, and I obviously watched at his body language and everything to get a feel of what exactly he's communicating. This is the conclusion I came up to, is that the old man is battle fatigued. Is battle fatigued. I think just for you to understand this, I was out of the country. I came in here just after Easter. And hardly when I just arrived in the country, my line was tapped. I remember saying to someone I was having lunch with that, so the mere fact that I've just arrived and they tap my line means that they consider me an enemy, a threat of some sort. I mean, otherwise, why are they tapping my line? And as you know, I've got 2 lines, and I think they then realized a few days down the line that the second line was not tapped, and then they tapped that one as well. So that's the level of paranoia and operations at play. And I consider myself a harmless person. I'm not involved in any of the things that are happening. But look at that violation and invasion of privacy. So when you call me, you might as well greet them first. Just say, hello, President's office, But I just greet them, because they are listening, which is, what can we do? But now, imagine what is happening with Tarakes. It's insane. And so he told us even yesterday that he is also in hiding. He's in hiding. And then he mentioned all these other people that are being persecuted. So I think what he has just discovered is that most of the people that he might have been working with have been seriously infiltrated. And so what he's now doing now is he's going back to the people whom he trusts, people whom he's probably worked with, and then or people that he sees as people with capacity to do something about the situation. And then he says to them, you guys toppled a regime and you replaced it with this regime. But the regime which you toppled was actually far better than this regime. So why are you not doing something about this regime? Because that's exactly the challenge that he laid yesterday. And he simply asked them this question, not in those words, but that's what he was saying when he was talking about the Matsotsi. They are stealing in front of you, they're doing all of these things. Why can't you issue warrants of arrest or in order for them to be arrested? He was simply saying to them, is Restore Legacy, or was Restore Legacy about this? Is this what this whole thing was about? And if you listen closely, he's actually challenging them that this whole thing is tied up to your legacy, because the Restore Legacy is their legacy. And if it turns out that you are not able to do anything about this, then Restore Legacy was about this. And then so you toppled Mugabe for this, And that's the challenge that he threw at them. So he is badly fatigued.
Okay, let's talk about General Chwenga.
Yeah.
Why him? Why go to General Chwenga and say do something? What was that all about? Why hasn't he said it before?
Yeah, which is what I've just said, is he has just realized that the people he's been working with or he's working with are seriously infiltrated. I just gave you an example. I mean, the operations are they are strong, they are intense, and they are very wide. So trust me, when you see that outside the country, you may think this is a small thing. It's not a small thing. I'll give you an example. I mean, look at yourself, my friend. Unwittingly, so you've already been infiltrated yourself by the sources that give you information. Look at what type of information they give you, and then you give headlines, and then you say such a thing is happening, and that thing does not happen. It's okay when one, when two, when three don't happen, but more than that, it starts eating into your credibility, and by extension, it eats into his credibility as well, because it will seem like you are part of them, whether officially or unofficially. But when people want to know about what is happening, especially with the so-called Gaza revolution, they come to you. And if then now what you are reporting is not true, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then it begins to eat into your credibility, and eventually the credibility of the project, as I've already said. So it's that type of thing that I'm talking about. When you begin to realize that the space to maneuver, it has been narrowed, thoroughly so, and seriously so. And he can only go back to those people whom he trusts and those people whom he thinks have capacity, to do something about it. But remember, these are his comrades. These are people he's been into war with, and he even mentioned it yesterday that when we came back from war, General Chiwenga was already our leader or commander, or, all those type of things. So he's literally going back to people whom he can trust because of this same infiltration that I'm saying, that the system has made sure there's so much investment into this, because I want you to appreciate this thing. You are fighting against the state. You are fighting against the state. And there's the saying goes, if you are going to aim at a king, make sure you don't miss. So obviously, the last recording he spoke about generals selling out, or some of the top military guys selling out, So the battle fatigue is coming from there. And obviously, he's now beginning to have trust issues with many people. And then now he has to go now to people whom he knows and whom he can trust. I didn't hear you. I'm not sure if you're on mute or what, or it's your network, but I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, but I'm saying, doesn't this damage the credibility of General Chwenga? Doesn't it put him in danger?
Well, I think that train has long passed. When Honorable Mutswanga spoke on behalf of the president last time on that leaked audio, and there was no repudiation of the things that came out of there. And then obviously Tara Keza then came out and then spoke on behalf of the general. So the picket lines were drawn. I think it will be pretentious of anyone to think that there are no two factions with the unofficial or unannounced spokespersons. They are already out there. It's already a West kept secret. So it's already known that the other one is speaking for the other faction and the other one is speaking for the other faction.
Okay, so what is the next move that you expect ever since this has happened? Do you think General is going to respond?
No, I must be honest with you. I am not sure. I don't think he will respond because it will go back to who can then use the party apparatus. Because as long as they are fighting this battle within the ZANU PF setup, there's only going to be the one winner, and that winner is the incumbent. Because he's in charge of the entire apparatus of the party and also the entire apparatus of the state. The general also has some influence, especially with the apparatus of the state, because of that whole military background. But of the party, I don't think so. Now, the challenge is with the opposition. We discussed this last time when I said to you, unless you can get Chamisa to get the people out there to then support this, the balance of forces will be totally against him. Now, I think this is where the challenge is, especially with regards to Chamisa. I know that they've smoked the peace pipe with Hopewell, right? But this I've not seen him withdraw. This is what he said about last month or so. He said, Hopewell is being paid by a politician to basically be involved in propaganda or churning out misinformation or disinformation. Now, that's a serious accusation. That's a serious accusation. But what I found funny is Zimbabwe just went on as if nothing happened. Why is that serious? It's because Chamisa is not an ordinary figure. He's a very important political player in the country. So is Hopewell. And these people have a large constituency. Now, if this one is making an accusation that this one is paid, and people just want to wish it away like nothing happened. So he hasn't withdrawn that. But why am I raising that? I mean, so that you can link it with the whole case issue. I want you to follow my line of thought here. Now, I want you to go back when Chamisa resigned from Triple C. And we were quickly told that he resigned because he discovered that Mkwananzi reports to the system. That was a lie, by the way. Mkwananzi may very well be part and parcel of the system. I don't know about that, and I don't even want to speak to that. And even if Chamisa might have discovered that, there is no way that Chamisa will resign for that reason. I'll tell you why Chamisa resigned. He resigned, and you can call him and ask him this, and if he says Puken is hallucinating, I will apologize publicly. This is what he discovered. He discovered that the same politician whom he accused Hopewell of being paid by, he discovered that it is the same politician that is being controlled or is working on behalf of the system. And this politician, guess what, is not even a ZANU politician. He's a major opposition figure, massive opposition figure. And then he discovered that even though Chabangu may be the face of the recalls, but this politician is the hand behind those recalls. And of course, he was left with nothing when he discovered that the level of infiltration is at this stage of the opposition leadership. And that's when he kind of like gave up the whole thing. Now, if you call him and he says he's hallucinating, no, I'll apologize. But I am willing to put my head on the block and say to you, the politician whom he accused Hopewell of getting money from for disinformation and propaganda is a major opposition player, major opposition player. And it's the same politician that he discovered that actually is the one controlled by the system to cause all the misfortunes which he suffered. So if you look at all of that, you can see the type of operations that Mnangagwa is up against. And I can tell you that he has probably discovered that, because I have heard him throw out some names saying, we're working with so and so, we're working with so and so, we're working with so and so. And some of the names he has thrown out there, I know for sure that these are part of the names that are causing this big problem within the opposition.
Okay, is it Tenebiti?
I'm not going to mention names, but let me tell you, I'm really not going to mention names, because I wish our people, at the very least, could use a bit of critical thinking. You know, if you remember, there was a time when a huge campaign against me was waged. Huge media campaign against me was waged. And I did a video, and I mentioned a certain media house that is a cesspool of misinformation and all those things. Bless your heart, you did play that video and other media houses. And I was hoping people could see it. What was happening is this very same group of people, they created a boogeyman for you guys. You know, here is a problem. Puken is the problem. And all of you moved your focus to me, as it were, while they were busy with what they were doing. And of course, the system wanted you not to see who are their people, their inside people that they are hanging. They didn't want you to see that. And a lot of people did not even pick it. I mean, for crying out loud, why would I recall two mayors in Harare when I have nothing to do with Harare? Of all people, recall Mdalu Makoni. I mean, you know, that's a man I know. Sitting down with, talking with, I know the wife, I know the family. So why would I even do that? You know? And then turn back, install a mayor who then clearly gets involved in corruption, which played out in TV for all of you to see. And then the media downplays it. No one talks about it. I then come out and speak against it at the very same time. So you can see that there is something which is missing here, which people are missing, which people don't want to follow. But I can tell you, you can call him. If he says, I'm hallucinating, I'll apologize publicly. He discovered that ZANU is handling people that were very close to him, very, very close to him, that in public, they speak against all of these things and say, these are ZANU projects, these are what, whereas they were the hand behind it. They were the people behind it.
Okay, very, very interesting. And are you aware that Mnangagwa lost people in South Africa during the arrest of Nyoka Mabunu?
No, I was not aware. Like I'm telling you, the unfortunate thing, they are busy listening to my calls for nothing. I'm not invested here. I don't have a horse here. I'm not following this madness. I can tell you that. I dealt with this thing in Parliament, pardon. Go and consult Hansard. I dealt with this thing. I asked a question, why are we changing the Constitution? What mischief are we trying to heal? But you saw what the headline became. They made a different headline altogether. But when I clashed with Minister Ziyambi, it was over this issue. When they were changing the Constitution, removing a vice president to be an elected official and making himself at the behest of the president. I fought that back then. So when was that? About 3-4 years ago. So everyone is almost catching up with me now. So I'm done. I'm in another level altogether. I'm sorry I didn't follow that, and I'm not even following. But I just wanted to give you my 2 cents worth of what I saw yesterday. Battle fatigued, like I told you, and almost discovering the infiltration, how strong and how deep and how widespread it is, that I see him retreating back to the people that he trusts, that he knows, that he thinks are capable of doing something or of understanding what he's talking about.
Okay, the reason why I raised that question is because you mentioned that your phone was tapped, or your two lines were tapped. So, given that your phones were tapped, don't you think that maybe you've been, or you're being considered as one of the people working with Mnangagwa?
Of course. Well, let me tell you what happens is most of the time is if you are not working with them, they will obviously suspect the other side, whereas the other side may also suspect the other side. So that's why I'm saying it's strange, because first time when I even came here, when you asked me, I told you I have no horse here. I really have no horse. I'm not interested in this. I used the correct platform. When the issue was raised, I used the correct platform and I fought it. And I don't know why people thought it was a good thing. If I may just remind you, it was the same time when we were being, everything was lumped together, the whole issue of removing the vice president and telling us that we are putting the youth quota, we're extending the women quota in parliament. Come on. How do you give us something that we already had? The constitution had already guaranteed us that. So parliament was always going to renew that. But you saw how that whole thing played. I don't want to go back there. You saw how much money was used. People's hands were greased, and it just sailed through just like that. I think I can mention him. If I didn't need to, I apologize in advance to him. You see, Dave Cotter, the lawyer in Harare.
Yes.
He called me on the eve of that vote, right? He called me on the eve of that vote, and we're trying to do the numbers, right? And then I said to him, okay, I'll try and talk to the chiefs. And he was like, no, the chiefs are. I'm like, no, those people are not, Zanu. You need to go to them with something that makes sense. Show them why you are against what you are against. But of course, it was very late, because he called me, like I'm telling, he called me on the eve, right? And the unfortunate thing was, at that time, I was busy writing my debate. I was busy writing my speech, why I'm going to fight that thing. And trying to contact people and whatever was a bit late. But we really tried everything to stop this thing happening. And you can see that we were correct, because right now the country is on autopilot because of these succession battles, which the constitution wanted to cure, and we had seen what happened with Mugabe and the incumbent. We had seen what happened then. And now we are creating 2.0 of that by this whole thing which we're seeing through. I had to speak about Mayor Muruti Kuti, and I also have to give a shout out to her. And I hope she has created a new trend where people will use their moral conscience to say, whereas legally there may seem to be nothing wrong with this, but now that there are questions where this money is coming from, where people are being given cars in a country where hospitals are empty of Panado, my friend. There's no painkiller in this country. There's nothing. You take an old person to the hospital whom they're saying they are being treated for free. When they get there, guess what? The doctors want X-ray. There is no hospital with an X-ray. So you have to go to a private hospital for X-ray, right? When you come back, they give a prescription. There's nothing in the hospital. You must also go out. So this whole facade of free treatment to the elders, it's a lie again. So to me, I really think, just to see the priorities, you are giving people cars, people who can afford. You are giving them money for some so-called philanthropic work, which is another facade. And we now know, if the reporting is true, that the Deputy Minister of Finance said there is a sensitive investigation that is happening, right? with regards to the source of this money, which is believed that it's government money. If this was happening and they were donating machines, they were donating medication and drugs everywhere, the rehabilitation of kids. Last week, I visited a drug rehabilitation center here in Bulawayo. Pardon, I couldn't hold my tears when I learned of what is happening to our young people with this drug problem that is happening, and to learn that most of these drugs are being brought in by people of influence, political influence. It's a mess. So I'm quite happy by what Memuruti did. I hope it's going to awaken something in us to say, thank you, my son, thank you for the gesture, but I'll be happy if you could go to Mpilo Hospital and donate maybe a powerful solar system or a big generator that will keep those machines running 24/7.
Okay. I just want to go back to the hacking of your phone.
Yeah.
So, two questions. How did you know that your phone was hacked? And secondly, do you believe that you could become a victim in Zimbabwe?
Okay, you know that I was the shadow minister for ICT for President Tsvangirai.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's my field. Don't worry about that. This is not the first time they're hacking my phone. They did it. That was when I think it was 2019. Yeah, the first time when I really knew about it was in 2019. But I thought they now know me very well because I don't criticize the government in private. I criticize it in public. And I play very fair. I never play the man. I always play the ball. So that's why when I'm saying to you, if you want to find my voice, you go and consult the Hansard. So these are things which were said in a public platform. So I don't know why they are doing this. It's very painful because I know that I can't even have a conversation with children which is being listened to. I can't have a conversation with my parents, which is not being listened to. I can't have a conversation with my friends or anyone which is not being listened to. So yeah, it's an invasion of privacy. But our lives is in God's hands. So I know that sometimes when I would do interviews, maybe with Ezra and whatever, strange things will happen from a security point of view at home. But I guess if you are too afraid, you are already losing. So it's okay, I think it's the occupational hazards that come with the occupation. That is what we're dealing with. Like I said, maybe the good thing is next time when you call me direct, you might as well greet them first. Let's just be polite and just greet them, and then we carry on with our conversation.
Yeah, I'm very concerned because maybe you're not aware. There are a lot of unreported things happening in Harare right now.
Yeah.
Last week, there was a shootout in Glenlon, which was not reported in the press. We found out about it. It took more than 6 hours. And then 2 days ago, there was an attack at State House, which we reported, and a soldier was run over. So the reason why I'm raising these things is there are things that are happening that are being suppressed in the press in Zimbabwe. So I don't want to phone one day and find out that you've been arrested. And we don't know why you've been arrested. So we want to be clear that you are not involved in any of these things. You were out of the country during the time when Mnangagwa was out. But were you not in contact with Mnangagwa yourself?
Pardon. It won't be the first time. You remember what happened in Lupane when that excuse of a human being is with Constable Dube or whatever his rank was, tried to pretend like he's arresting me when I later learned that he wanted to kill me. So and even if I don't know what type of killing he wanted to do, but eventually getting back home also was now hazardous, because imagine when you are held from 3 p.m. for literally nothing, and then released around 2 to 3 a.m. in that Victoria Falls Road. That was treacherous. I'll never forget about it. But like I'm saying, what can we do? What can you do? It's it's the system. It's got power. There is nothing you can do. Look at what is happening in America, the biggest so-called democracy. People are being snatched in the middle of the night or even during the day, and they are shipped from one state to the other, deported to other countries, and told they are not coming back. And it's just crazy. And that's the world we are living in. It's in the last days. We're living in the last days. We may not have control of most of the things that are happening to us, but God is still on the throne. So it is worrying. It is frustrating to know that people, because of course they're not only listening, they are following. The whole reason why when I come into the country they're able to tell me is because they are tracking, they are following. But I really don't care. If even if I was involved with it, I think I would also be public about it and make a public announcement. But I think it's bad. I think it's wrong that we 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 waste so much time and energy into this. I think time and energy should have been into serving our people, making sure that the free education that our children were promised, they are already receiving it. I don't think that the Reverend, I really respected him. You know, I don't think he needed the car with the wife and the money. They really didn't need that. It is really, yeah. I was the most disappointed. I rated him very high, and to see that they can easily be bought like that, when our children and our mothers and our sisters and everyone is dying in our hospitals. You go and talk to our doctors, the conditions of service, our healthcare providers. Just go and talk to them. The conditions they are working under, unbearable, unbearable. But we've got money to be giving well-off people. You know, we're giving Suguzonke a car. You understand how much money Suguzonke has. But priorities, that's how our priorities are. So, yeah.
Okay, so I think, Senator, it's clear. You have said here, when you went back to Zimbabwe, you found out that your phones were tapped. And when you're observing the latest statement by Darageza, you think he's got fatigue. He has found out that most people that he works with are infiltrated. And he's going back to those people that he believes he can trust, who is General Chwenga. And you've said that there's clearly two factions, and there is no pretense about who is in which faction. But you say, most likely, if things remain the same, the faction of the current president is going to prevail. So let's wrap up with your view of what's going to happen next. What do you think is the next thing that is going to happen, given the current situation?
Well, look, something we'll have to give at some stage. I really can't predict what can happen in terms of the two factions. But all I can tell you is that at some stage, something is going to give. You know, the sad thing about these people that leave ZANU, you know, and come and claim to be now part of the opposition voices, is that none of them will tell you of any shenanigans that can really move us, you know. You go to the Prof Moyo, he will never tell you how the elections were rigged. They'll claim that elections are rigged, but he will never tell you. You go to Tyson, he will never tell you that. You go to Memu Juri, she will never tell you that. You go to Dr. Mzembe, he will never, that's what I find funny about this whole thing, that if we have now moved and we now see that what happened to the people is wrong, our then party was wrong, so we want to correct things. The way you correct things is doing them like this, like this, like that. No, So that could mean two things, pardon. That could mean that these people are charlatans, that these people are not repentant, that these people, they don't want a change of the order of things or a system. They just want a change of personnel, but they want things to carry on as they are. Or it speaks to a sophistication of the system you're dealing with. It's so sophisticated that people who are part of it think they are in the inner circle, whereas things are being run somewhere where they have no control. And that may also speak to the current trouble which Darageza has just discovered, that he's a former intelligence operative, trained soldier, and all those things, but clearly the system is running rings around him. And last time, before yesterday, he came here talking about how many people have been paid off. And then, of course, yesterday he had to go to General Chiwenga and General PV and many others, and Rucheke, and said, please, guys, do something. Why are these Zikandanga or whatever they call them doing as they please like this? Can't you do something about it? So I can tell you from a social point of view is that things are not okay. People are hungry. People have lost hope, and things are not getting better for the people. So, and when that happens, it doesn't matter, but at some stage, things are just going to implode because the suffering is just too much.
Okay,
you queue for everything in this country. Whatever you want. If you want a birth certificate, go and see the difficult. If you want an IT, go and see the difficult. It's tiring, my friend. It's tiring. You know how many requests I receive on a daily basis? I can't do this. Now I don't have this. Now I don't have this. Now I don't have. It's difficult. You run out of cash. Kids that you help register for certain courses they want to do, you think that is done. No, I don't have money for fees. I don't have money for transport. I don't have money for that. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult.
Okay. I think, Senator, it's clear there's a big problem. And I'm worried that you are now in the middle of it because you're in Zimbabwe. So what I would like to obviously say is that let's watch and be very careful. As I say to everyone, be very careful if you're in Zimbabwe, because you're going to go to bed one day and the next day something would have happened. Because, for example, we don't know who is that man who attacked State House, and we don't know where he is. We don't know who is those people who were shooting out at Glenlone, and we don't know who was shot. So many things are happening, but they're not explained, including the hacking of phones. And the people who were attacked here in South Africa, I know some of the names, by the way, like of the people who were there. Some of the people don't know that I know that they were there. So these are not imaginary things. What you're talking about is real. And the danger is quite real for other people. That's why I'm just saying we need to be careful. Mdarageza is not just talking. But I think by mentioning General Chiwenga, we have gotten to the end, because there is obviously going to be a reaction. So do you understand my point? That I don't think him mentioning General Chiwenga was just fatigue. I think it's more.
No, it's okay. Remember, this is my submission from my observations. It's not gospel. So I may very well be wrong, which I'm human after all. So this is not scientifically proven what I'm saying, but it's just my observations based on what I've just told you. I've told you why I told you that I'm being taped. It wasn't just out of fun. It was just to show you that the system is serious about this thing. They are really serious. And why I reminded you of Chamisa's statement about Hopewell was to show you how deep the infiltration is. And when I brought to you and say, also be careful of your sources, because I think some of the sources are from the other side to attack your credibility, and by extension, attack the credibility of the Gaza Revolution, which clearly you are part of, and we are the media of choice, whether officially or unofficially, but you have associated yourself with the project. So I was trying to show you how wide and pervasive is the whole thing. It's very, very serious. The infiltration is crazy, my friend. It's crazy. Now, let me just give you one last proposition for you to look at it. You remember when Chamisa demoted everyone around him and said he's the only leader.
Yes.
Now, Zanu should have been happy about that. To come to think of it, Zanu should have been happy about that. Do you know why? Because that would have meant that he is now fighting with his lieutenants. Therefore, he will now be weaker and Zanu will be strong. But did you see how much Zanu fought? Did you see the noise? Did you see the campaign? You know, it was like, and now I understand, it's because he dealt with the assets. You know, he was surrounded by assets. You understand? So he was now taking out their source of information and influence around what is happening. I'm raising all of this to make you appreciate the infiltration. If you're going to do any project in this country, you must appreciate the infiltration. I want to go very far. I want to go very far and say this to you. Every SG of proper opposition in this country has been infiltrated in one or the other.
Or compromised.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get you.
So if you are dealing with these things, you got to know. And SG #1 prize, spokesperson #2, and sometimes up to the treasury. You know. So this thing is not small, my friend. This thing is big. So if he's not fatigued, good. If there's a strategy around it, good. But I'm just telling you what I saw. I saw a man who was fatigued because of the infiltration. And remember, he's fighting a state, like I told you. You have to be resourced. You have to be resourced. And obviously, he can't be as resourced as the state. His people are being bought left, right, and center, according to the last recording before the one of yesterday. And as I've already highlighted to you, from the opposition, the media, you speak about the media not reporting. The media in this country is bought, my friend. It's bought. I'm speaking as a victim of it. I am a victim of it. If it was according to the media, and by the way, let me say this, because I can see maybe you think that I have no respect for Mtarakes. I have great respect for him. And I'll tell you why I have great respect for him. And if what he did is something to go by, really what he's about is a very noble errand or a noble cause. If he went according to the media, when he released that list, how many? 45 or more of Zikananda, whatever. You remember? It was Easter morning. If he went according to the media, releasing that list, you know I was supposed to be in that list. if he went according to the media, you know, I should have been in that list if he went according to the media. But it tells you that they are sitting somewhere And they know, because obviously they are in the system, they know who's involved with this and whatever. He knows very well that you can't find me, you can't locate me in any meeting sitting down and saying, we are recalling so and so. You can't locate me in any meeting saying, okay, we're replacing so and so. You can't locate me in any of those things. You can't locate me in R1 or $1, you know, saying, okay, thank you so much for the work. Okay, here is $1 for cold drink. You can't locate me there. You can never find me in any of that. So by that, I am very grateful of his honesty and decency and humanity of, you know, accept what he knows, not going against what he knows, that this I know, that there is nothing that links this man. You saw how that list was. They'll say, we're putting so and so for being a runner, we're putting so and so for doing what. You'll never find my name there. Why?
Yeah.
It's because he is running an honest operations, not informed by the bought media, by the propaganda, which Hamisa was talking about, that a politician is paying a journalist to spew out propaganda. Now, another chap that comes that came to your media house is Jonas, right?
Yes.
Now, Jonas worked with the system. You know that for sure, right?
Yes.
He comes to your media house when he has a fallout with the system. He gives you a list of names of people who are part of the system. He gave you, including in the opposition figures. He gave you the names. Here, live, there's a recording there. Did you see my name up there?
No.
No, my name did not come up. From Jonas, from Darakeza, my name does not come up, right? But because Zimbabweans are not deep thinkers, you know, they were given propaganda somewhere and they ran with it. You know, they run with it everywhere. You are being given a false mirror. Look at that shining object there. Look at it. While it's real people are running away with the real goods, and we are not focusing. So I have great respect for him. That's the point I was making. But no, I have great respect for him. I think he's running a fair operations. I think he's looking at people very objectively, and he is not just sitting there and just going on what is popular at the time. But the point I was making to you is that the media is bought. There are many things you must not look up to them. They will not do that because they are bought by politicians to run out certain narratives and manufacture consent and make sure that the general public is not well informed.
Okay, I think let's bring it to an end here. I think you've covered most of the stuff we wanted to cover. I'm just concerned about your safety. That's all. That's all. I'm really concerned. I'm not saying this lightly.
No, I know.
I'm concerned that before the end of this week, we'll read in the newspaper that you've been arrested. I don't take it lightly. Right now, we've got 4 people in Bulawayo who have been in jail until since the 31st. And these are the guys here. They are being represented by Prince Dubeko.
Okay.
So this is the court case. And we've got Ngwenya, we've got Lungu, we've got Mpofu, and Ngwenya again. And I'm concerned because the police in Zimbabwe are not arresting to investigate. Sorry, they're not arresting after investigation. They're arresting to investigate. General Chiwenga just released 95 people yesterday when Mnangagwa was away. And we've got 7 more people in Gweru. It's very sad what's happening. And I'm concerned that if you choose to stay in Zimbabwe, you might discover that it was not a wise idea.
Well, I'm not sure if I should run away, pardon. I don't know if I should run away. But I can tell you this. You just mentioned Prince Dubeko. Just for you to see how well orchestrated this whole thing is. You would have seen on social media how Prince Dubeko was being now portrayed as if there's some friction between him and Chamisa. You would have seen that. It's the same type of people that were running these media operations that I'm telling you about. Because Chamisa must not be surrounded by people who are well-meaning and who are capable, who can do something. Because when you have Prince Dubego there working with Chamisa, you know that he's a hard worker. He's got a huge following in not only in Pinga, but in Mat North there. He's doing wonderful things, and he's dedicated to the cause, the generation consensus, and the very same type of campaign is the same one that Mahere suffered when she was being removed as the spokesperson there, because she brings sanity to the whole thing, and decency and all those things, and those type of people don't want that, and so they will just create fake things and fiction. And I don't claim to be his advisor, and I mean Chamisa now, but some of these things are simple, man, to do in this day and age. When someone is accused of being part of the system and whatever, just put them through a polygraph test, man. You know, it's just that simple, and that's it. But no, I'm telling you, because they're going to run rings around him, and they're going to separate him with a lot of good people that could help him. And I'm raising this because you've raised Tobago. You know, it was sad to see the things that they were now trying to do to Tobago. You know how many fights I've fought with Tobago. You know that, ain't it? You know that. Some of them played out in your media. Some of them were at Studio 7, you know. But do you know what the fights were all about between me and Tobago? They were about Chamisa and Dr. Kupe. That's what the fights were about. But even as we were fighting in the media, we were not enemies. He will request me in Parliament, please get my coupons, please. I will drive with him from Harare in his car to Bulawayo. You know, even as we differed about who's supposed to lead and all those things. So I'm saying to you, I'm not talking about someone I haven't differed with. I've differed with him in brutally so in the media, right? But you can't, you know, a reasonable person ever doubt him, especially with regards to Chamisa. And I want you to watch closely. The very next person who's going to be a victim of these attacks is Sister Maplanka Begezela. She's going to be attacked because these people are controlled by the system, who are always around Chamisa there, don't want anyone who can make a genuine contribution towards bringing a real resolution to this impasse in this country. Because right now there is no one. There's no one who can stand up there and say, I am 100% fighting the system. No. That is why you see Mtarakeza now going to the people whom he trusts, because I'm sure he has since realized that, no, man, the infiltration is just too deep.
Okay, Senator, I really appreciate you joining us here on short notice. And I would like to wish you luck if you continue to stay in Zimbabwe. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
Yeah, no, I want to encourage our people to go to the nearest blood donation center. We are running out of blood. I think I saw last month. Yeah, I saw last month a plea that we're running out of blood. I'll probably do it Monday or Tuesday or so. Please run to the nearest blood donation center. That's the best gift you can give to someone you don't even know. That's the best gift you can give, because the Bible says the life of a living thing is in the blood. So, and we know that for every donation we save a minimum of 3 lives. For every donation we save a minimum of 3 lives. And never mind the politics that the blood is being sold later and whatever. Just do your part. Go and donate blood. I think I'm going to shoot a video when I do mine between Monday and Tuesday. But please, and mine is very critical because I think it's O, which is almost universal to everyone. Everyone can receive that type of blood. So please, I'm making a plea. Let us run to the nearest blood donation center and donate blood. The irony of it, pardon, is that all these people that make noise, the politicians claim to love our people and everything, you'll never see them there. There's no stampede there. That's where we must be stampeding. That's where we must be showing our love for our people by donating blood. You know, I can forgive the president and his colleagues because most of them are old. But most of these folks that are 60 years and below, you know, like me, no, we must be stampeding there. You know, when I was out of the country, pardon, there was a time I almost gave blood there. Then I said, if I do this, because you must give a 3 months window from one donation to the next. Then I realized that no, once I do this, I'll probably won't be able to give blood as soon as I get here. So I did not. I did not for that reason. So I'm simply saying, these politicians, if you want to see that a politician really loves his people, let's have a stampede of politicians going to donate blood, you know, but they are not going to do that. You know why? Because they don't care about you when it's going to not give them any financial reward. Somehow they care about you when they want to be counselors, and then the next thing they've got stands, then the next thing they've got lodges, the next thing they've got students accommodation, but somehow ZANU is too strong for them. They can't do anything that will benefit you, but somehow they themselves, they do benefit. Thank you, pardon, and good night to everyone.
All right, thanks very much, Senator, and a good night to everybody.
Sure.
Sure.
Kambakwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com. Kambakwe vanogaya mari vanotaura mari vanoziya mari. Kambakwe vanotaura feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei. Vanhu muterere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei. Mirai ndikudze kuti chokwadi pano chizere. Kambakwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotaura straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence
entertainment current affairs and news. Kambakwe.com usasarire. Kambakwe anogaya mari